So we talked a lot about reflecting, what someone is saying. So we look at three things. There's reflecting content, reflecting feeling, and reflecting meaning. So what does it mean to reflect back? It's not that I get it, right? It's to say, okay, I get it. I understand that, and then fill in the blank. And the blank is what the other person is saying. So, and to do that well, you're not just parroting back what they're saying, but you're paraphrasing and also adding just a little bit. So for example, if someone's coming to you because they're stressed about some of the back chatting that might be happening within their team, and they're asking you for help, and they're really frustrated, then to be able to say, okay, so I understand there's some back chatting happening in your team, and it seems that you're fairly stressed about this. Is that right? Like, and just being able to name it and label it. So right there, I said, it sounds like you're stressed about it. That might cause them to, a little light might shine for them and say, oh yeah, you're right. I am feeling stressed. I hadn't noticed my emotional state. Like I hadn't even noticed. So by reflecting back, you're actually adding something for them. And there's some recent research that we've been looking at within the field of counseling, and where what they did is they recorded a session, then they had the client look at the session and mark off the points that were most valuable to them. And often we think, oh, well, an open-ended question is going to be a real light-changing moment for the other person. Same thing in business. We might think open-ended questions are a great way to express curiosity and get other people to think. What they deem to be the most valuable is the reflection. It was when the client, or the counselor said, oh, I'm noticing that I'm seeing this in you, or I'm noticing that you're struggling with that, and they're reflecting it back to them. So that is a great way of expressing empathy, because you're legitimately saying, here's what I'm seeing you doing and feeling, and I'm saying it, and you can correct me if I'm wrong. So it's always appropriate in when expressing empathy to say, did I get that right? Or am I, I think I'm right, but I'm not sure, because it gives the other person the opportunity to say, nah, it's not really stress. It's actually a little bit more like I'm kind of fearful of losing that contract. And, they might use slightly different words, and they might correct you.
I love that. That is a fantastic example. So I understand that ... right? This is what's going on. This is what may be happening. And it's, maybe you're feeling stressed, anxious, whatever. Did I get that right? Or does that sound right? So those two components you have to have them together. I understand that, kind of paraphrasing back what you heard, adding a little bit to it, and then giving them that opportunity to correct you is really what's going to demonstrate the empathy, and then I think create the psychological safety so that they feel that they've been heard, and that they can then speak up, right, and share that, no, that's not right. So that is spot on. Excellent tip for those of you listening out. If you're trying to practice those skills, but really couldn't, pinpoint how to do it, if you have to go back, re-listen to that the last couple of minutes. Excellent tip. Thank you for that, Stephan.
Yeah, you're welcome. And there's one tiny little bit more that I'd like to add, Scott, because of course we focus on this sort of stuff, and you reflected back the structure perfectly. The next, to turn it up from an 8 to a 10, to go from a A- to an A+, is you're mindful of your tone and how empathic your voice sounds. So it's not just the structure of, okay, you're saying this and you're demonstrating understanding, and then you're checking in at the end. Instead, you're doing all of that, and your voice is appropriate. So if they're demonstrating a lot of anxiety or stress, then you want to have some emotional resonance there, right? Like you don't want to have a big smile on your face when someone's telling you terrible news about some client they lost or what have you.
And that's what leads to authenticity. When there is the match between your tone, inflection, body language, and the words that you're saying really creates the authenticity. So if you're like, all right, Stephan, I get it. There's a lot of people on your team. There's back channeling, back talking going on, and you're feeling stressed, right? To me, that a very condescending tone, not a caring tone, versus, like you said, really matching to what you're going to say. That's awesome. I understand that. ... Did I get that right? And then creating the connection between your tone, your inflection with really what's going on. Perfect. I love that.